Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Jared Polly's Fragrance Reviews. Tonight we're going to be investigating a fragrance which is one of the most iconic in all of men's history. And this fragrance is known as Creed's Green Irish Tweed, which is a woody floral fragrance that came out in 1985. This fragrance is one of Creed's fragrances which made the House of Creed the most, at the time, the most illustrious fragrance house in the world. This is a scent that is often imitated and never, I would say, duplicated. I've tried the cheap knockoffs, but they're never really quite the same, especially the older bottles of Creed Green Irish Tweed, which are of a much higher quality and potency than the Creed bottles today. Some consider this the ultimate gentleman's fragrance. This is a mature scent for the well-dressed man, the professional man, and this is a distinguished fragrance that will be noted by those around you. But again, it's not necessarily for everybody, in the sense that it does have a vintage vibe. It definitely has an animalic note to it, so it's got this kind of sweet stink, which is reminiscent of the 80s and the early 90s. And again, that may not be for everybody. And this has an unusual quality of what I call being a green aquatic. And what do I mean by a green aquatic? This would be, it's an aquatic, seats, has a seaside vibe to it, but also you would say like the vegetation in the ocean, not really stinky, but a very natural green/aquatic smell. So the newer gentlemen, I don't know if they may like this. If you want to try something like this, I would definitely get a sample. Some people say Davidoff Cool Water is similar, maybe the older bottles of Davidoff Cool Water, but I would say there is a huge difference in the sense that this has a much more natural smell, and the newer bottles of Davidoff Cool Water smell more like not like a shower gel, but more synthetic. And like I said, there are many dupes out there. Many brands have tried to make something like Green Irish Tweed, but I actually don't find them that close. I mean, there are, even with Creed Aventus, there are so many companies that have tried to duplicate it. And mainly because of the idea is that these are all very, very expensive fragrances. And if you can get something that is close to it for a much cheaper price, you could just walk around telling people, I'm wearing Creed Aventus or Creed Green Irish Tweed, but there is a difference. But you would have to have a distinguished nose. So we're going to give this a spray in the back of my wrist. It's a gorgeous sprayer, nice black bottle. Glass bottle. So initially I get a kind of a burning lemon, but it definitely has, I find, a little bit of that sweet animalic stink. But it's definitely earthy. And then I have this aquatic green note. And again, it's like the underwater foliage or plants of the ocean. But it's not like a rotting smell. It is a very natural smell and kind of a underwater earthy smell. As it starts to dry down, it starts to sweeten a little bit, but not in a sugary manner, in a very natural manner. And then I find it to become a little bit powdery, but not cosmetic. And then you have some kind of these floating light herbal notes, again, which have this, that are combined with an underwater aquatic feel. Then you got some very nice kind of soft white wedding notes, some sweet floral, a little bit of sweet floral, but not too much. Later on, there is a bit of a change. I get kind of a sweet muskiness, but it definitely becomes creamy. A little bit more herbal. You still have these soft citrus notes, but it's definitely, I find it smoother, and it does have that animalic sweet stink note to it, which I like. And that is the note. The animalic note is what turns off the younger men. That's the note, the animalic notes of the civets and the castoreum, and in this case, the ambergris. Those are the notes that throw off the young gentleman, that they think, well, that's the old man smell. That's the grandpa smell. But it's not necessarily what people are smelling around you. What you directly smell on your skin, it can be very different from the scent wafted people. Unless somebody puts their nose right up into your skin, they're not going to get that same smell. So a lot of times with these fragrances, you have to ask people, how does it smell? And your perception of it, the perception of other people is much different than yours. So this fragrance, the top notes are lemon, verbena, and iris. The mid notes are violet leaf, and the base notes are ambergris, which is a product of the intestines of sperm whales. And I guess it's illegal now to sell this. And I think it just kind of floats on the water. I think it's like a fossilized kind of almost like a vomit. And this also, the base notes are sandalwood. Performance on this, I got about 3 hours of good projections. The longevity, I'd say about 5 or 6 hours. It has a good scent bubble, but it's not overpowering. But it definitely lingers after you leave the room, and it's got gorgeous scent trails. Who could wear this? I would say anybody late 20s or up, anyone in professional fields, anybody that wants something to be more gentlemanly in, I would say, not necessarily a Wall Street style, but in almost like a London style. And this fragrance is always connected to a British style of dress, a British style of sophistication. And I would say, if you're interested in something like this is very expensive fragrance, that you would want to get a sample before you try it. And then if you really like it and you have the money, you may pull the trigger on it. But all of the Creeds, Tom Fords, and the niche fragrances are going to burn a little bit of a hole in your wallet. So if you love it that much, then you have the money, then it may be something you would invest in. Otherwise, there are other options out there, and you can check those out online of similar fragrances. But I don't like to ever recommend any dupes, anything that is similar, because then people say, well, it's not that close. And a lot of times these fragrances aren't as close as you think. There's maybe the initial spray, there's a connection, but after that, the differences are very great. So if you like this video, please hit the like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell. Any comments or questions you have, leave them down below, and I'll always get back to you. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.